Radio Raheem here with Tim Lane, the trainer of Chris Algieri. You know, we're a couple of days away from the fight. This is when all the work has been done, the talk has been done. How is Chris feeling? How does he spend the last 48 hours before getting in the ring?
Chris is feeling great right now. He is relaxing, just chilling in his room, watching some TV, and everything is great, ready to go.
Now, Tim's only got 20 fights as a professional boxer, but he's got 20 as a kickboxer. This is definitely the biggest stage that he's been on, though. How have you been keeping him calm, keeping his head in the game through all this fanfare and spotlight?
Well, this is a Chris Algieri show, and he has envisioned this for many, many years, and he is 40-0 as a professional. So people don't really realize that, you know, he has had 40 professional fights. The lights are a little bit brighter. There's a little bit more press going on, but this is what he's asked for, and, you know, he's ready.
Well, we've seen Tim in the gym, or we've seen Chris in the gym. He looks like he's working with timing. He told me that timing beats speed. Is that your theory as well? And how do you feel like his training for Manny Pacquiao's speed will advantage him in the fight?
Well, timing does beat speed, and Chris knows his distance. He uses his distance very well. Finally, Chris Algieri is going to be able to fight in a 20-foot ring as opposed to a 16-foot ring, which he's always fought in. You cannot be a master boxer in a small ring. Anyone who's ever been great in boxing and has been able to box and use all their skills in boxing has been in a big ring. So Chris is going to be in a larger ring, and he's going to be able to move and time Manny, and he's going to be able to do his thing.
Now, you're calling this a Chris Algieri show, but we know that we're in China, right next to Manny Pacquiao's home, and to get a decision against Manny Pacquiao or any fighter that's in a side like that is tough. So if Chris is trying to stay away and outbox him, are you at all concerned about getting a good decision?
I'm not concerned about the decision. I don't have any control over that, but Chris will win each round decisively, and I'm not concerned on what the judges. I'm sure the judges are going to do their job, and his hand's going to be raised.
Chris is looking across the ring at a world champion, a legend in the sport, but so are you from the corner. Freddie Roach is also, you know, a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's one of the great strategists in this sport for Manny Pacquiao. How are you looking at that matchup, your skills versus Freddie's skills, and have you looked at the way he trains his fighters and incorporated that into how you want to match him up against Pacquiao?
I have a little bit, but you know, my main thing is I know Chris. I know my boxer. I know how to train my boxer to beat any boxer in the world. So, you know, it doesn't matter if it's Freddie or if it's anybody else that's out there. I know Chris Algieri. I know what Chris Algieri can do, and Chris Algieri will beat Manny Pacquiao.
Now, you're predicting a beat by Chris Algieri. Of course, Freddie is predicting a win by Pacquiao in the first round, no less. When you hear these kind of things, does that make you upset? You feel disrespected?
No, I don't feel disrespected. I mean, I would, you know, you're supposed to say your fighter's going to win, but I just happen to know what Chris is capable of, and I know deep down, Freddie knows he ain't knocking nobody out in the first round, you know. So Freddie's going to bark a little bit and do what he does, and that's all good for the sport. But at the end of the night, you know, Chris Algieri's going to win this fight.
Manny and Freddie have been talking a lot about their sparring partners and how they're getting ready for a taller, longer fighter. What kind of sparring partners have you had for this fight? And there's nobody out there that can really mimic Manny Pacquiao, but how did you try to get close?
The way I try to get close is I got Jose Zapata, who's trained by Robert Alcazar, who also trained Oscar De La Hoya. I got Zab Judah. I got a few other young, hungry, undefeated guys to come in, and nobody can mimic Manny. But when I have guys go in for 2 rounds only, they're pretty fast for 2 rounds. And when I rotate them in and keep fresh guys with Chris, and Chris continues to win each round, that's it says a lot for where Chris is.
You said that you know Chris Algieri, obviously you do, but are you the type of coach that studies tape? Do you study your opponent's last fights and look for weaknesses? If so, what do you see in Manny's game that you feel like Chris can advantage?
I see a lot of things, and I've watched 52 of Manny Pacquiao's fights. The other, I don't know where the other 5 or 6 were, but that's all I've done since the Ruslan fight is study Manny Pacquiao, and I see a lot of things that he used to do that he still does. The main difference is that he still has the unorthodox kind of style and movement, but he's missing a little bit of his zap that he used to have. And when you have an unorthodox style and you throwing punches from all kinds of different angles that nobody's really able to do, that's fine when you're faster than everybody in the world and you're at top of your game. I don't believe that's the case now, and I believe that he has lost his edge, and that's why I believe that if he continues to fight like that, which he really doesn't have a choice, that's how he's always fought. Chris Algieri is gonna put his hands on him and stop him.
Well, Tim Lane, Radio Raheem, it's a pleasure to talk to you.
Yep, you too, man.
Radio Raheem with Tim Lane.